Hello there, guitar friend. In this video today, I'm going to talk a little bit about chord theory. Now, this is a prerequisite to a course that I'm going to be doing here in the next day or so on how to find any chord on the guitar. Now, I have another video on YouTube, the website as well, which is scale theory, just a very brief introduction. It's what I'm going to do here, but I'm going to do chords in this particular lesson. Okay, so to get started, what I want to share with you is that chords are derived from a scale. Now, a scale, in any particular scale that you have, you have 7 notes, and then it repeats. So when you start out, say that we're playing a G scale, and we have the G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, each one of those notes are numbered, okay? And so I could say G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or I could go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the octave, okay? Now, chords are derived by the scale, and the scale numbers of the notes: 1, which is the root, 3, which is the third, and 5, which is the fifth. So a 1, 3, 5 of a scale is what makes a very basic chord. Now, there are some people that say that chords, could be 2 notes. Well, I disagree. Two notes would be called a double stop. Okay. Now you can get some chord tones and things that are similar to that, and I'll hit that here in the next lesson. But for today, just remember that the 1, the 3, and the 5 makes a chord. Now, if I'm in a particular key, let's say that I'm in the key of G, and I want to play a G chord. Well, what I have to find is the 1, 3, and the 5, or the G, the B, and the D, okay? If I find the G, the B, and the D, then I know that I have a G chord. And so, here's the open G chord. So here's my G, here's my root. Here's my third right here, which is B, and then here's my D. So here's a G chord right here, okay? So the 1, 3, and a 5 makes the actual chord. Now, when we add other things to the chord, say for example, we want to play a G7, okay? So what we have to do is we have to figure out what the 7 is. Now, there's a difference when we say 7, like a G7, which is actually a G dominant 7, or if we said G major 7. Now, let me show you the difference here. Let's go back to the G scale right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, here's the 7, but that is the major 7. When we say G7, or any 7th chord, we're really referring to a flatted 7th. So we take it down 1 semitone. So here's the flatted 7th, okay, for the G. All right, so the F is what makes G7. So if I play the G7, if I play it an open G7, okay, I can do this. Okay, here's my 7th. Right here is my flatted 7th. Well, that doesn't sound the best, but I could do this, and here's my F right here. Right? You remember in the beginning courses what I've done when I did the 3-finger chords or the three note chords. Here's a G7, so I can play it thusly. Okay, so here's my G7 because it has the F in it. Now, if I'm going to add a 9th or some other note to it, well, I need to know where those are, and I need to know how that's constructed. So basically, when we're finding chords, so a G major is 3 notes, the 1, the 3, and the 5. And if we're going to play a G7, it's the 1, 3, 5, and the flat 7th. Okay, that's a G dominant 7. Now, if I was going to play a G major 7, well, it would be the F sharp. That's the 7th degree. So it would sound like this. Okay, a lot of difference between a G major 7, okay, and G7. Okay, so if I play G7, I have the 1, 3, 5, and the flatted 7th. let's say that I'm going to play a G6. Okay, so I'm going to play a G, but now where's the 6th degree? So I can count it up: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the E, if I play an E note, then I'm playing a G6. So I could play a G6 this way, okay, or I could play a G6 maybe this way. I'm just adding the 6th degree. Now, really, this is just basic chord theory. I don't want to do anything too extravagant, but I want you to know how chords are derived. Now, what makes a major or a minor chord? Well, if we take the 3rd degree in a scale and we flat it, so I go 1, and then the flatted 3rd, the 5th, okay, and then we can go ahead and do a flatted 7th, so I'd have a minor 7th. So what is that? It's G. Now here's the flatted, so here would be the minor right here. So there's a minor. Okay, let me show you a little better here with a bar chord. Here's the G7. Okay, or like this, maybe you know this. Here's G7. Now, if I take off my middle finger here, here's my 3rd right here. So if I flat the 3rd, you can hear the difference. Here's a G, here's a G minor. Okay, so if I flat the 3rd, then I have a minor chord. Now, really, 2 shapes that you really need to know and really need to understand is the major and the minor. We can add the 7ths, we can add 6ths, we can add 9ths and 13ths and 11ths and sharp 13ths and all kinds of things. We can do a lot of fun things with that. But for this lesson, just briefly, I just want you to recognize that a chord is made up of 3 notes, the 1, the 3, and the 5, okay? And if we want to add other tones to it or other colors to it, we can add the flatted 7th or the major 7th. We can add a 6, we can add a 9. Yeah, we can add a lot of different things. Now you say, now where does a 9th come from? Well, we have 7 different tones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it's the root again. But let's just, for fun, let's call that 8, okay? And now, so it'd be 7, and then we start over with 1, and then 2. However, 2 is the same as 9, okay? 4 is the same as 11, and 6 is the same as 13, okay? So when you start looking at chords, you say, oh, that's a G9. Okay, so then I just look at G. If I go to A, if I put an A in there somewhere, okay, it's somewhat that simple, but there's some other things that you need to recognize when you're making chords like this. What makes it a G2 opposed to a G9 or a G6 opposed to a G13. But remember, 2 and 9, 4, 11, and 6 and 13, those are the same notes, just that the 9, 11, and 13 are higher, okay, higher than the 2, 4, or the 6. All right. Now, I hope you learned something here. I hope I didn't confuse you. Basically, I just wanted you to recognize how a chord is made with the 1, the 3, and the 5, and then we can add other notes to that chord to make whatever kind of chord that we want. All right. Hey, I'm going to have another lesson here coming up real soon on how to find any chord. You're going to want to watch that. That's really going to be helpful for you. All right. Hey, until next time, happy practice.